Hello and welcome to Matt Loves Eurovision. It's my Eurovision 2025 Top 37 countdown, place number 15, Belgium, Red Sebastian, Strobe Lights.
That's where I wanna start.
Please do click on the subscribe button, ring that notification bell, and as always, like, share and comment below. Now, the first up of the Benelux trio of countries in my countdown is one-time winner Belgium. Now, it's been a while since they got their sole win back in 1986, but they've had a decent reputation in recent years with some very good results. They've had 4 top 10 placings since 2015. Yet that's also been accompanied with some really quite notable flops or expectations not being reached. Often from entries that were expected to qualify to the final. At least they're expected to qualify before we hit rehearsals. And indeed, that was the case last year with Musti. I think the general expectation that this would be go through to the final, and of course it did not. It was 13th in its semi-final. So can Red Sebastian avoid that fate? Now, Red Sebastian is the professional name of singer-songwriter Seppi Guido Yvonne Herreman. And in his teenage years, he competed in Belgium's Got Talent, later went on to attend the Royal Academy of Fine Arts in Ghent, which is one of the country's top institutions for arts. And his Red Sebastian name first appeared in 2019 when he was sort of getting started in the music industry. And it was inspired by, yes, you guessed it, Sebastian in the Disney film The Little Mermaid, which was one of his favourite films as a child. Now, he then went on to self-release several singles, plus an EP, also an album as well. And he also entered another TV talent show in 2024 where he reached the final. But it's really this year, 2025, that he has seen the biggest success. Earlier on this year, he signed a contract with a record label for the first time. And of course, he participated in and won the Belgian national final Eurosong with his song Strobe Lights. And it wasn't just a little win, a narrow win, it was an absolute landslide. He won both the jury vote and the televote by an enormous margin. Now, Strobe Lights itself isn't, I wouldn't say it's a wacky or unusual song by most descriptions, yet as a techno song, it does feel quite a rarity at the contest. We do get up-tempo songs, but to have something that's specifically this genre is a little bit more rare. I'd expect a lot of camera cuts and strobe lighting, of course, in the performance, especially when that beat kicks in the song. Red Sebastian is one of the two, not one of the two, there's several, but he's one of the co-writers of this song, and he says it was his tribute to Belgian rave culture. Now, I'm going to take his word for it, that this represents a specifically Belgian rave culture, but there's no doubt that this does have the tempo to get the audience moving. He's an accomplished singer, that showed that during the national final. He hits those big and long high notes. They're very much a feature of the performance. And, it is definitely a banger, quite clearly. I do have a slight minor irritation, I will confess, over the use of cotton candy in the lyrics. But I suppose candy floss might not have worked quite so well in that line, or in those lines. Now, the song is, I think, eminently listenable too. It's obviously great for a Eurovision club night. I do worry a little bit about the live performance, and it's not so much his vocal at all. That's not really the concern. But there's just something about it that feels, I don't know, perhaps a little static in some of the performances. It's just a feeling you get kind of when you see it up against some of the other artists. It just feels a little bit not quite as kind of energized or connecting. I'm sure there'll be lots of camera cuts. I know we've already mentioned that, and I think there were in the national final. I'm sure that will be the case in Basel. But I just think the delegation need to make sure that this doesn't fall flat on screen or come across as too cold. You maybe notice I'm wearing Ollie Alexander from the UK, and I do wonder, not that they're obviously completely different songs and different vocal ranges and abilities, but there's just that slight concern that a song that everyone quite enjoys, it's nice, but it's getting that engagement from people to vote for it, and this has to be voted for in order to get it into the final. Now, Belgium shot to the top of the betting odds to win the contest when, on the back of people hearing, well, we presume it was this, before it was publicly released. They had released it to some people kind of privately to kind of gauge songs, and obviously someone then had gone and placed a bet that shot Belgium up to the top of the rankings. Now, after obviously time went on, he went on to the national final, won the national final, and as other entries became known, this slipped really quite a long way down the betting to win, only for it to have bounced back, and it's now once again in the top 10 entries to win. Obviously, still with a fairly low percentage, because there's only really those top 2 or 3 that have the high percentages. But yeah, at the moment, at the time of recording this, it was around 7th in the betting. So yes, we'll see whether that changes or not. I personally think that's a little bit too high, not least given that we have been here before with Belgium not necessarily qualifying after high pre-contest expectations. Now, if you look at the betting to qualify from the semi-final, that tells quite a different story. Bear in mind, remember, he's in 7th place, or roughly that, for the betting to win. This is 9th currently in the betting to qualify. It's 9th out of the 10. That top 10. Still a little bit of gap between 9th and 11th, but yeah, it's still a little bit closer than you would have expected. And looking at the scoreboard app, this is only mid-table, or a little bit below mid-table at best at the moment. Again, this is the time of recording this. That does set some alarm bells ringing for me, that when we think we have, there's several, or at least a couple of these up-tempo dance male solo songs in that semi-final that he's performing in. And one of them, perhaps the one that's proving really popular in the Eurovision scoreboard app, Norway, is right next to Belgium in the running order. You've also got Cyprus that closes the final, the semi-final, and that again could be described as being quite close to this in certain aspects. So it's whether or not this is going to get remembered between with Norway and Cyprus as well. I do personally think this deserves a place in the final, and as you can see, I prefer this to both Norway and Cyprus. And I still think this is probably more likely to qualify than not. But then I wouldn't be so surprised if this doesn't qualify. I think the delegation are really going to need to make sure that the staging and performance really do it justice, just to make sure that we see Belgium in the final this year. Of course, you can read this on my website as well, www.mattloveseurovision.com. Do let me know what you think in the comments as well about the qualification chances. And we'll see you again soon. Take care.